Hi, and thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to be talking about the 4 principles of fascia. Fascia is one of the most misunderstood organs of the body to date. Many people think that beating and poking at the fascia will actually help it to relax and release. But unfortunately, this is a misunderstanding. In fact, when we trigger pain points in the fascia, we actually trigger the fascia to contract more. Tom Myers is one of my teachers. He wrote the book Anatomy Trains and travels all over the world teaching on fascia. Tom Myers taught us in my yoga therapy training about fascia and its closely related organ, the interstitial tissue. The interstitial tissue is the tissue that's responsible for hydrating the fascia. And when the interstitial tissue and the fascia are healthy, the fascia has a property of viscosity. That's the first property of fascia. The viscosity that fascia has makes it sticky and gooey, and this helps it to be more malleable and to slide or glide. When the fascia is dehydrated, it loses this property, and it becomes brittle and hard to move. The second property of fascia is stretch. Fascia can stretch for about a minute and a half. After that point in time, we move from stretch into the third principle, which is elasticity. If I had a grocery bag here right now, I could stretch that grocery bag to a certain extent. But if I hold it for too long or if I stretch it too far, I move into its elasticity and I change the shape of the bag. I use a little demonstration with your hands to teach these 2 principles. Bring your fingers together and interlace them nice and tight. And then from here, you'll see that your fingers are nice and together. They're as tight as they can be. Now I'm going to ask you to pull, but don't pull so hard that they move away. And then bring them back. And you notice that they didn't go anywhere. There's no space in between the fingers. They stretch, and then they come back. They stretch, and they come back, right? Now I want you to pull a little harder for a little longer. Pull, 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 pull. Now release. Oh, wait. They don't go back. This is the principle of elasticity. You can see now that there are spaces in between the fingers that weren't there before, and now we have to remodel the fascia if we want to get it to go back to its natural shape. These 4 principles, viscosity, stretch, elasticity, and remodeling, are what we are working with when we're working with the fascia. If we spend too much time beating the fascia up, for example, with a deep tissue massage, we might go into a place where the fascia reacts based on pain points that run along the fascia. This makes the fascia contract and get tighter. Tom Myers says that the best way to remodel fascia is through whole body activities like rebounding, running, mountain biking, and yoga. Many people think that yin yoga is appropriate for fascia, but that's actually not true. Yin yoga is designed to work in the plastic tissues of the body, the joints and the ligaments. The fascia encases the entire body, and although the fascia is impacted by yin yoga, it's not the primary point of concern. We want to get into the plastic tissues in the joints and the bones and strengthen those connections. If we work with a body that's cold, we will bypass the musculature and the fascia and move straight into the joints. If we work with a body that's warm, the joints don't get the majority of the work. The fascia and the muscle tissues do. When we do this, we inadvertently go into that place of elasticity and further unmold the fascia. To remold the fascia, we have to spend months diligently creating opportunities for space all over the body. That's why rebounding, jogging, and yoga can be of such benefit. The biggest takeaway here is that fascia is an organ all into itself. It's responsible for holding the tissues together. And Tom Myers equates fascia to the interoceptive system and our ability to connect to how we feel inside our body. This makes a lot of sense because when we experience certain things, we create postural conditioning, where we react physically to emotional and intellectual stimulation. Postural conditioning is different than postural compensations. Postural compensations come about because of variance in the length of our bones or perhaps the arches of our feet. We might be imbalanced on one side of the body and more balanced on another. The body will automatically compensate for these variants, and that's where postural compensation comes from. Postural conditioning comes from intellectual and emotional experiences that cause us to hold in the body, and these experiences impact the fascia directly. When we're working with students, we can encourage them to practice holistic practices that encourage movement all over the body. And we can encourage them to rest and restore. This also encourages the fascia to remodel. I hope this video has been helpful. Be well, yogis. Namaste.